Many of the shirts certainly celebrate resiliency and survivorship, and other shirts tell the very true reality of the impact of domestic violence, not only on victims' lives, but children's lives and those who care deeply about them. Standing behind me are the 24 shirts of the women murdered since 2004 in Orange County, as well as individuals who have added 2 additional shirts over the last couple of months from 1998 and 2001, family members. And Petra Muhammad, who is presumed dead but still missing, as well as Moses Molina. And so it's a stark reality that this county is not immune to the impact of domestic violence, and there's not a year that goes by that we wish that we don't have to add a shirt to the line. But it's important we don't forget their names, that we remember that we continue to do the work in their memory and in honor of those who continue to walk every single day in their survivorship. I want to just make sure, and I apologize if I forget a couple of people, but there's some people that aren't speaking today that I do want to at least acknowledge. Jean Gallagher's here from Assemblywoman Gunther's office, as well as the Orange County Sheriff. I'm very grateful. The Sheriff has been an incredible supporter of Safe Homes for a very long time. Not only has he supported our agency, but he has also supported Love Gently. He comes every single year and hands out badges to all of the kids that come in, as well as the adults that want to take them. And in addition, he just partnered with us again to ensure that all of his deputies have ongoing domestic violence training. So we just completed 6 sessions of 4 hours each for all of the sheriff deputies in the county. And so we're very grateful for the sheriff and his department for all of the things that they do to support Safe Homes, but also ensuring that the officers are working collaboratively. There isn't a time that goes by that we don't call and they immediately support us. And as being one of the sole servers of orders of protection, specifically family court orders of protection in this county, we're very grateful for their support and connection and increasing victim safety. So thank you, Sheriff, for coming today. I'm going to turn the microphone over for a couple of speakers, both at the state level as well as the county level, because today not only is about kicking off Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but Safe Homes can't do this work alone. We're one piece of the puzzle, and we're very fortunate here in Orange County to have incredible support on multiple levels, both state, local, and federal levels, ensuring that victims of domestic violence get the services that they need. So I want to start kicking off today with Assemblyman James Skoufis for his longtime support of Safe Homes.
Thank you, Kellyanne. Thanks. It's my pleasure to be here, and it needs to be reiterated every year, the really incredible and valuable work that Kellyanne does, her staff, her team does, and all the volunteers do at Safe Homes. You don't just protect people, you literally save lives, the work that you do. And it's in collaboration with, I know the strong relationship you have with the county and county officials here, from Steve Newhouse down to the state. And it's really working together that this situation behind us and out in front of the government center isn't a lot worse. It's the lives that you save. You can't hang up t-shirts for the lives that you save because you can't do that. But those are no doubt countless in number here in Orange County because of the work that you all do at Safe Homes. And I'm proud to join you every year. It's really a shame we have to do this every year, but nonetheless, domestic violence does continue in every single community, whether you're a village, a town, or a city. There's this misperception sometimes that maybe this is only happening in those communities that are more struggling in nature, but this happens in middle class communities. It happens on every street, every village and town that I represent in the state assembly, every demographic, black, white, every community of color, and we need to do a lot more. And so from the state's perspective, I'm committed to doing that, whether it's through funding, whether it's through support at events like this. And I was proud to help secure some money for the new shelter that Orange County Safe Homes is moving forward with. We have to do a lot more. And that extends to legislation too. We have to pass bills, and you all come up to Albany every single year. You visit me, you visit other legislators from Safe Homes of Orange County. And a lot of these bills that you come up to Albany asking to pass are the same bills every single year because we don't get it done. We at least got one of those bills done this year. And it's something that I've spoken about at least 2 or 3 straight years at this very event, and that is taking away guns from individuals who are convicted of domestic violence. And the Assembly has passed that for a number of years in a row. I've talked about it at this event a number of years in a row, and we finally got the job done this year, because no one who is a dangerous individual should have access to a firearm, and we know the correlation between domestic violence and gun violence and gun fatalities here in this state. That was put to an end this year, finally. But we have a lot more work to do. I'm committed to doing it along with our local partners and other state partners, and I thank you for all the work you do every single day, not just in October, but every month of the year. Thanks, everyone.
I'm just going to try to turn this down a little bit, so bear with me for 1 second. The knob is underneath all of these microphones, so I apologize.
Is that better? Oh, now I turned it off.
Test, test, test. Okay, there we go. Next, I wanted to invite Assemblyman Carl Bradnick up to say a few words.
Thank you, Kellyanne. And today we start the Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the month of October. I remember coming to this event last year in Newburgh. It was very, very moving. Today's event is extremely moving as well. And it's so important that we spread the awareness and we do whatever we can do to help. I know on the state level we partner, as James said, with our county officials, and we try to do whatever we can to help and to create more awareness, and we try to do whatever we can. So, and we will continue to do that up in Albany for the years to come. Try to strengthen the laws against offenders, and try to move forward as best we can to not have this every year, and create more and more of these symbols here that are just absolutely horrible. But definitely we are here for you. My office is always open, and my ear is always open, and we will do whatever we can to move forward. I want to thank Kellyanne and the tremendous work that Safe Homes does every day, along with all the not-for-profits here in Orange County. And I'm here, whatever I can do to help. My door is always open. Thank you.
So I want to just say that as we're inviting the county exec up, from the very moment that he came into office, has always made himself available to Safe Homes of Orange County. Anytime that we had concerns about legislation, even locally, there isn't a thing I have to say that he just says, make an appointment and come to the office. And every single time that's happened. So we're very grateful for the county exec's support, and wanted to invite the county exec, Steve Newhouse, up to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. And I know I'm wearing pink and not purple. I just left the breast cancer kickoff. 1 out of 4 women diagnosed with breast cancer in America. Staggering numbers. It's in the newspapers today. And I couldn't be proud to have you back here, Kellyanne. This is great. My whole career, I think I've spent with you. We've been doing this in Newburgh. And to James and Carl, I was not trying to be rude while you guys were speaking. I was on my phone, which I hate to do it. And the reason why we're doing that, we are helping. I'm on the board of directors for the families of Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans, and we are helping the Stewart Air Guard base, who is reeling from a loss. Reagan Smith, she was murdered just about a week ago from her ex-boyfriend, who attacked her and her current boyfriend, wrestled the gun away from her husband, who was a police officer. Not only killed her, the guy injured the police officer and then killed himself. And although they don't live in Orange County, they are part of our family because she was very active. She's actually on active duty right now. She was for New York State, for protecting us with the counterterrorism things. So we keep her in our prayers. And as was mentioned, there's a long list. There's a number of shirts here of people that we've lost, but we have a ton of people that have been saved or are survivors. And we have hundreds of women and some men every year in Orange County that are victims of domestic violence or victims of sexual assaults. our Rape Crisis Center. That's near and dear to my heart because of the funding and the relationship we have at UKLEN. The work that they do is God's work. It's really unbelievable, helping people and helping train our first responders and make sure that they're prepared to do what they need to do to help these survivors. Here in Orange County, we also are very lucky. Darcy Miller's in the audience, a number of my staff and commissioners. We also have Inaudi. All of us work together on a regular basis to handle and address some of these crimes and these victims and survivors. I will say one thing, because I'm going to be introducing the DA, who I made fun of because he's wearing a brown suit. I always try to keep a light even when we're talking about important and serious situations. The one thing I see with domestic violence in my career now, is 5 years as your county executive, is somebody else knew something. Somebody else knew that individual is in a bad situation, and if there is help out there, we have resources, and you could save somebody's life. And that, to me, is the most important thing. The people that I've encountered that are victims of sexual assaults or domestic violence have other people in their family knew what was going on in many of the occasions. So my big message out there is to try to get the word out. If you know somebody that is in a bad situation, there's help out there. And I know Darcy Miller and Kellyanne, between the two of them, we have a number of resources where you can call and get help. So with that, Dave Hoobler and the sheriff and I are very close. Everybody picks on how close we are with the county clerk, the four of us. But it's because we work together on a lot of serious issues. And I don't know anybody more passionate about domestic violence than Dave Hoobler. He's got a young daughter, as I have 2 young daughters. We look at this, we take these cases very seriously, and we take them personally, and we try to address them professionally. So I'd like to introduce my friend and colleague, Dave Hoobler, the district attorney.
Every year that I come here to speak, I remind everybody, Petra Muhammad is presumed dead. She is currently missing. That was my case when it originally happened. It's still my case. It sits under my desk every day. Not to be forgotten, but a reminder every time I get there that we're still looking. A little about the nuts and bolts of domestic violence. Number one, here in Orange County, Safe Homes, all the volunteers, the executive director, your tops. We couldn't do what we do in the DA's office without your support. But really, another partner that we have that makes things work is the sheriff, and I'm going to talk about the nuts and bolts. His people, when we have orders of protection that need served after hours or on a weekend, his people have made arrangements with my office. They pick them up, the orders of protection are taken, and they're served. And that's because of the good relationship we have. Sheriff, thank you for dedicating the people to do that, because it is sometimes a burden on our local police that also have to police, but they have to have those served, those orders of protection served. With Safe Homes, something that we're doing this year, we have 2 spots upstairs on the 4th floor for the individuals that work for Safe Homes to be embedded with our office as victim advocates to assist us in the investigation and the prosecution of those cases. That's something I'm very proud of. It's something that was long overdue. Now that we have the right space, that is something that's very welcome. On the legislative side, we do need better laws. We need laws that are crafted so that we can prosecute these cases without having to have the victims come forward, evidence-based prosecution. Every time we go to Albany as DAs, we never get the result that we're looking for because, quote, there's other criminal justice reforms that get in the way. The fact of the matter is, they shouldn't get in the way because people's safety matter. And you can't guise criminal justice reform when it hurts a group of people or it hurts a type of prosecution. And that's what some of these things will do if they're ever passed, i.e. bail and other things. But that's a fight for the district attorneys of the state to have. The last thing I will say, when it comes to domestic violence, the county executive said something very important. You see it in your community, but you don't talk about it. You see it with your friends. You see it with your family members, but yet everyone is quiet. It's hushed. It's kept in a corner. On the 4th floor in the district attorney's office, we constantly ask ourselves, some of the cases. How did they go on for years and not a single person ever said a word? Or a family member never said a word? A lot of those cases can be prosecuted if somebody comes forward and lets us know, even if the victim does not want to go forward. And sometimes that is what is necessary to happen to protect somebody. So I urge you, if you see something that's going on in another household or another place, make a call, tell a police officer, have somebody check it out. You may save somebody's life. And I guarantee you, no one will ever come to your door and have an issue with you taking that action from law enforcement or government. Because I have personally seen numerous times where people have come forward and done that, and it has made a difference. So, in closing, make a difference to the people out there. Thank you. Oh, and I'd like to introduce at this time Darcy Miller, another good partner we have, our Commissioner of Social Services as well as Mental Health. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Kellyanne, we have forged a relationship over the past decade.
Wow, Darcy. That's you.
I'm breathing too heavy. I'll step back. That relationship has resulted in an expanded collaboration with our Department of Social Services, with Child Protective Services. But before I go there, I just want to say I began my career in the mental hygiene system as the coordinator of Rape Crisis Program up in Niagara County, working very closely with domestic violence, knowing the thin line between those two crimes and how often they merge. We've come a long way. We've come a long way in 25 years in how we address domestic violence. Some of the things that have been said today are so important but would not have been said 25 years ago, and I appreciate that we have County Executive Newhouse who comes out strong every year, but not just every year for these events, every day, fighting against domestic violence, supporting funding when it was removed from both Rape Crisis and Safe Homes, and we appreciate that. We have the sheriff, all of your deputies being trained. I mean, it's incredible. There was a time when that didn't happen, when a man who battered might be walked around the corner and then returned home to continue the abuse. That's not what happens anymore. Jay Hoovler reinforcing how important it is that when we see something, we say something. It's such a delicate balance, and I'll say it's a delicate balance because the most dangerous time for a woman is when she leaves, when she gets caught preparing to leave. And so we all have to be careful, and even families are silenced by that great fear that they might become a statistic, that their loved one, their daughter, their sister, their mother might become a statistic and die as a result of trying to leave. At the Department of Social Services, we have a responsibility for child safety. And oftentimes, we could find ourselves in conflict of a woman's choice, a woman's safety in a domestic violence situation, and having to ensure that the children are safe. But fortunately, we work very closely with Kellyanne and her staff, and we have advocates co-located at our office, and they advise, they educate and advise our staff as we move forward so we can make the best decisions possible. And they are not easy decisions, because there are times when we remove children from a mother and a father because there's battering going on in the home and the children are being negatively impacted by that. And then we go even further to say, how do you define negatively impacted? Because our society doesn't make that clear either. We have things like adverse childhood experiences that show that when you're exposed to traumatic experiences in childhood, it has long-term impact. It can impact your physical wellness, your emotional wellness, lead to mental illness and or substance abuse issues, lead to criminal behavior. Those are the challenges that we still have in front of us. We need to figure out, how do we hold a batterer accountable? And that's the legislation that's spoken about. How do we get stronger? How do we find that jail and prison is where batterers end up, rather than back in the homes where they continue to abuse, and not have the victim be in greater danger as a result of that. So I appreciate that we get to come out every October and every opportunity we get to reinforce those messages and to educate our community and ourselves about what we still need to do. And I want to thank Kellyanne and the staff at Safe Homes for acknowledging the Child Welfare Department this year at your gala. They are honored. I am honored. We are honored to be able to work together. The county executive is excited about that experience. Thank you for acknowledging the good work that we're doing. The New York State Office of Children and Family Services this year, just a month ago, came out with a plan where they've acknowledged they need to work more closely with understanding domestic violence and have a strategic plan for New York State and how we respond to domestic violence in our child welfare system. I like to say we're a little bit ahead of them, and we can help to educate them, but there's still more work to do, and I'm glad that we're all here together to do it, so thank you.
We just have 2 more speakers today. I want to invite Jimmy O'Donnell from the Orange County Legislature to say a few words on behalf of the legislator.
Thank you all for being here. So, as the brother of 5 sisters and the father of 5 daughters, I know full well what we need to do to protect women that get caught up in this type of situation. For me, this is personal. So back in December 14th, 1975, if you Google that in Sugarloaf, New York, the only thing that'll come up is Trooper William B. McDonough being killed in the line of duty. He was my brother-in-law, my best friend, married to my sister. But you have to search very deeply to find out that the person that killed him, Chris Jordes, right, killed his girlfriend 10 minutes before that. Linda Manecki, right, was a victim of domestic violence. Her T-shirt should be, might be up around the front on 207. But for me, like I said, it's personal. Linda's family and my own family go through this every December 14th, every October when we take that month for domestic violence. But Linda's family, she didn't get the New York City pipes and drums. She didn't get 30 Suffolk County motorcycles. She didn't get 5,000 police officers standing at her funeral, all right? But for me, I always remember her family and what it means to be a victim of domestic violence. I spent 28 years in law enforcement fighting and protecting women against domestic violence. One of the things I will tell you that we continue to need is more funding. Right? We need more funding to fight this. Domestic violence occurs 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and we need more funding. The district attorney does a great job. The county exec does a great job providing it. The sheriff is always there providing his staff with training. The training on a law enforcement level needs to continue, but again, we need more funding. And for me, it is personal. I apologize for no purple tie. My members on the state police will really be mad at me with our purple band around our Stetson and our purple ties. But believe me, victims of domestic violence are always there for me. Thank you.
Two more. So we do a lot of work with the Chiefs of Police Association in Orange County, and each individual department supports us in incredible ways. And we're very grateful. And in addition to honoring the Department of Social Services Child Welfare Unit, we are also honoring the City of Newburgh Police Department for their incredible work this year with their high-risk team. And so I wanted to invite Chief Hazard to say a few words on behalf of the Chiefs of Police.
Pleased to stand here and represent the Orange County Chiefs Association. Orange County Safe Home is a great partnership of ours. They're in our academy, every academy class. They're always there for us for in-service training like the Sheriff's Department does. It's something we have to keep continuing to do. This is an atrocity to see this many t-shirts from Orange County in such a short period of time. Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, and I did see Shannon Wong sneak in from the Executive Director of the Civil Liberties Union here today to support us too. But we are really lucky when we talk about Orange County, but even more lucky than I think most counties, because their Executive Director of Human Rights Commission is an extraordinary advocate. And so we want to finish today, before I come back up, with Enaudi Esposito to say a couple of words on behalf of the county as the Executive Director's Human Rights Commission.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. it is not only an honor for me to be standing here with you all because of my role, but really the role that I choose to play 24 hours of the day, 365 days of the year. Because although the Orange County Human Rights Commission and the Orange County Executive's Office supports wholeheartedly Safe Homes and the work that they do, we also believe that for the last 30-something years, Safe Homes has been saying that domestic violence is a human rights issue. And we believe you. We really believe you, and we also understand our responsibility to stand by what that means. And if what that means is that every single day we call people out when they make sexist comments, or when they make comments about being raped or being a victim of domestic violence, because they understand what that does to a survivor, what that does to a victim, then that is where we actually can stand up and say we're allies. Being an ally is not just someone who remembers to get the purple hair extension or remembers the ribbon or wear purple on days throughout October. But being an ally is really standing up and saying to people, you know what, that wasn't funny. Let me tell you why. Being an ally is also believing a victim when they speak up. It's also believing that victim and saying, either I'm here for you and let me find the answers, let me find who can actually help you, and then actually helping them along the way without judging them, without questioning them or asking them, why'd you wait so long to speak up? Or why couldn't you? Or why won't you call the police and get help? So I do encourage everyone to just, use the word allyship as a verb, taking some action. And finally, I want to say thank you to the survivors and the victims, for those of us who are with us in this moment, but for those of us who are much more brave than any one of us are by standing in front of a podium and saying we support this cause, but by actually using your voice and helping us understand the needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Benouti. So a couple of things to wrap up today. Just first and foremost, if you're with the media, there are media packets over here. Please, 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 if you can't right now, walk the line. The shirts will be up till 3 o'clock. Everybody who contributed to those shirts, it's hard. This morning there was a couple of people just out doing their walk or their run, and it stopped them in their tracks. And one gentleman just said this was really heart-wrenching and wasn't sure what it was. And then once we explained what it was even more impactful to him. And so this is also about lifting up survivors in the moments that they took to make these shirts, to speak for their loved ones who can no longer speak for themselves. Angela Davis once said, "You have to act as if it were radically possible to change the world. And you have to do it all the time." And I think that echoes exactly what Benouti just finished with, and that was, it's not just a day, it's not just a month, it's not just a year, but it must be your entire life, because other people's lives are depending on it. Every single day that we choose to only make it one moment in time, someone else is living that moment every single day their entire lives. And so the more we actively participate in playing a good role in ending domestic violence, the more impact we can have. The theme this year on the national level is #OneThing. I know, it's the next generation, the hashtag things, but you can remove the hashtag if you want, but one thing. And the idea behind it is, it only takes one thing, one person, to make a change. And that change can be so small and yet so impactful. And a lot of times, especially now, I think, we're very overwhelmed with what's going on in the world, and we're not sure if we can change anything. But I know from all of the victims and survivors and all the advocates in the trenches that it only takes one thing. Time and time again, I hear from victims that it was one officer that changed the trajectory of that victim's life. And maybe they didn't get to see the fruits of their labor. Maybe you don't always know the impact you have, but it is always one person that does one thing that changes everything for victims and survivors.